We don't seem to have copies of the submissions. So just wondering in future if we could actually get copies. I think it's really important councillors know what we're submitting on, because this does sometimes have impacts on our policies. Central City Living one, for example, we've made some quite strong comments to central government. So, you know, I think it's really important that the full council gets a copy attached with these reports. I'm also really concerned that the submissions panel, when it was initially set up, was supposed to be making recommendations to council when time permitted. Where time didn't permit, it could make submissions ahead of council, because sometimes these things are urgent. But we tend to kind of have this pattern where things are not coming for ratification to the full council, are being submitted, and we're only getting them after the fact. So can I please ask that these submissions in future are attached to the report, and that the submissions panel actually makes recommendations to council when time permits, as have, I presume, certainly the Central City Living one could have been done so. But yeah, it hasn't happened.
Paul?
Look, I agree with Yanni having these submissions attached, but what I would like to say is that the both submissions were exceptional submissions from our staff. They managed to encapsulate exactly what we've been briefed on, and the information we gave back to our staff to actually submit on. So I just want to make that point. They did a great job, but it would be great to see it reflected in here and shown to the rest of the councillors what they did actually submit on. So. Yeah.
James.
Yeah,
Why am I calling you that?
Am I in trouble? Because I get that when I'm in trouble. When I hear my mother say James, I know that I'm... The only comment that I just wanted to make around that is probably just following on from what Paul said. Very often, in most cases, we have had a workshop around that, and it just encapsulates the feeling of the full council. The only thing that I'd say is I probably do beg to differ around having them in there, because our reports and agendas can be so long as it is. In 99.9% of the time, it's captured everything that the elected members wanted perfectly. And I just wanted to say that if a councillor did want to really drill into it and make sure, one, they're more than welcome to attend and actually be a part of that submissions panel, and two, you just ask for it and go through it, and then you don't approve it at this instance.
Yeah,
now.
but I think that if we are going to actually have them reporting back to the, I mean, because I don't think the intention was to delegate the decision-making to the submissions panel unless the time required it.
And I was under the impression too, and if it's not the case, it would make sense for it to be, but perhaps after those were then approved by the submissions panel, that perhaps simply an electronic link was circulated to everyone, and if someone really wanted to drill into it, then they can. But otherwise, you know, there's no point in us having sort of 3 phone books every week as opposed to when it could be 2. I mean,
there's an element of truth in that. So, but let's leave it with the Chief Executive to establish a good process for ensuring that people, one, know, you know, what's being discussed at submissions panels, and maybe, you know, if people can look at the drafts before the meetings, and as you say, if they can attend, if they can. But you know, I think maybe the submissions could be available for people to pick up a hard copy if they want to.
If they can't too, you know, either I chair them quite often or Paul does, then all we want to do is capture the feeling of the elected members. So if anyone would want to be there and couldn't, just let me know, and I'll make sure that it's articulated at that committee level. Yeah.
But I think as a general principle, they should be reported back to the council for adoption prior to being submitted. All right, so I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. The report of the hearings panel on